Welcome into the draft profile for Walter Nolan, defensive tackle out of Ole Miss, formerly Texas A&M. That's right, if you're keeping score at home, Texas A&M has at least some hand in 4 defensive linemen that are going to get drafted inside, the top 50, top 60. But in Walter Nolan's case, he is an Ole Miss defensive tackle who was on another really good defensive line in college that has a lot of guys that are going to the NFL from that defensive line. Walter Nolan, probably the best of all of them, and definitely going to be some off-the-field concerns. There's definitely some character issues there. We'll talk about that more at the end of the video. Let's go ahead and get into the skill chart for you guys. So first thing I want to talk about for Walter Nolan is his burst and verse step at 7.2, which is an elite grade for me, and for his size, I think he deserves that grade at 6'4", 296 pounds at the combine. This guy did play under 300 from everything that I could see. I wanted to go and check. I couldn't really tell, but look, he holds his weight very well. He is just a large, stocky human being, and to be that size and to be somewhat of a twitchy athlete, I really think that's what you could call it. He has some quick twitch about him and the way he plays the game. It's impressive. It's really impressive. I think it's a rare combination of skill sets. You don't see guys like this that move the way he moves very often. And with that said, he has plenty of bend to his game. He has some of the athletic traits that you would look for in a defensive end, but he does play that D tackle role. So he is going to be a little bit more of a pass rushing defensive tackle, of a more explosive, penetrating defensive tackle than your classic two gapping large human, hold the point of attack, let the linebackers get past. This guy is more of your I'm going to penetrate, I'm going to get upfield, and I'm going to wreak havoc in the backfield type of guy. And I think he does it at a really high level. Now, with that said, plays the run pretty well. I think he can definitely play himself out of position. I definitely think he loses track of the play at times. I would kind of question elements there. He played on a defense at Ole Miss, especially where, there were just a ton of athletes on that D-line to where he could kind of freelance a little bit and get away with it. It seemed like that's kind of what Ole Miss asked their guys to do, and it worked out pretty well for him. At a 5.7, that grade could probably go up a little bit higher. You look at his play strength, you look at his leverage at a 6.2. This dude can hold up against double teams. He's a strong dude. He's a physically gifted human being to have the ability to be as explosive as he is and also as just freaking rocked up and strong as he is. It's a special combination of skills. He's one of my favorite defensive tackles just based on the film alone. I think he has a ton of upside and a ton of untapped potential. Look at his hand usage at a 4.3. Look, it's inconsistent technique, but always active. Has always been able to win with kind of your explosiveness and power. So I do feel like technique at a 4, hand usage at a 4.3, these are elements of his game that just haven't been completely well-rounded at this point yet, and I'm okay with that. That's something we can work on. That's something we can grow with, and if that's the limitations of your game, you got nowhere to go but up, right? His tackling at a 5.8, very good grade. What could have brought that up for me was if he had just a little bit more closing speed, if he had just a little bit more of that last second burst to finish the play. Has plenty of explosion, has plenty of initial burst, but he kind of runs out of gas a little bit faster than maybe I'd like. And I'm not saying that literally. I'm just saying, guys are able to get away from him. That long speed isn't there, and that's okay. Again, for the type of guy he is, he's going to be more of your fuck the play up guy. He's going to be able to penetrate into the backfield and wreak havoc, and that's a style of defensive tackles that a lot of teams are looking for. Now again, it's super interesting in this class specifically because there's so many really, really good defensive players, and there's a wide variety of styles that they play, schemes that they're going to fit perfectly in. This guy definitely fits more of your classic 3-tech attacking defensive tackle, all right? The teams that want to have just space eaters in the middle of that defense, Walter Nolan's probably, still not the worst possible option by any means. He can do that, but he's not going to be your favorite prospect from that perspective. The teams that want a guy that can fly upfield and be a legitimate pass rush guy and from the interior, he had a 10.9% pass rush win rate in college. That's real, and that was just based on his natural physical ability. There was very little technique. There was very little, counter moves or anything like that. He didn't rush with a plan or anything. That wasn't his game by any means. It was just win with physical ability, get to the NFL level, still going to have all that ability, add to the talent, and we'll see what he can be. I think there's a ton of untapped potential for this dude. I think he has the potential to be one of the best defensive tackles in the league. This can be a defensive tackle that's putting up 8 to 10 sacks a game, helping in the run game. Like, he can be Christian Wilkins level. I mean, he can be that type of guy. He has that skill set. Now, that does bring us to the final point. Now, I have laid out why I think he is one of the best defensive tackles in this class. I'm a huge fan. I understand the technique isn't there. I understand that he's going to have to grow and learn, and maybe that, if nothing else were a factor, that would push his draft stock down a little bit. He wouldn't probably be a top 15 pick. I would never have him going outside of the top 25, I would say. I think that's about as far as I could see him falling. I just think he just has too much talent. He's too valuable for a type of team that would use him the right way. I would love to see him get drafted as high as he could possibly go. I would love to see him develop into the type of guy that I said I think he can be. I think he can be Christian Wilkins, like I said. With that said, there are some serious off-the-field concerns that I mentioned, and there are teams that, according to different reports online, just don't have him on the draft board. So what does that mean? How far does he fall down? Now, I really don't see a world where he falls outside of the second round. I just don't think that's possible. There's no way that he's going to be off of every team's board. Now, I do look at these reports and I wonder. I'm like, okay, but are those the teams that wouldn't have really had him on their board anyway? Are those the teams that are looking for the giant space eater two-gap defensive tackles that aren't really interested in building their defense around a guy who's trying to penetrate? If those are the teams that have him off the board, well, then that doesn't change anything. That doesn't change where he would go, okay? Now, if we have teams like the Rams that are taking him off the board, well, yeah, I mean, I would love him on the Rams. I think he would be a perfect fit to that defensive line group on the Rams. I don't know. I obviously have no way of knowing one way or the other. I don't know what the context of reports like that really are, and we just won't know until the draft. There is a real possibility that this is the guy that is at the top of Todd McShay and Mel Kiper's board for multiple picks in a row before he finally goes off. And every 10 or 12 picks, we have somebody going on TV saying, when's Walter Nolan going to go? And then it cuts to Adam Schefter, and Adam Schefter says, well, I'm hearing many reports that there's definitely some off-the-field concerns, and it has definitely hurt his draft stock. Well, I could see that just being the storyline of the draft, and whatever these off the field issues are, I don't research this stuff. I don't really care, because to me it's tough for me to research rumors and research different things like that. It's like I try to talk about that aspect of the story as little as I can. I got to bring it up. It's got to be a part of the conversation, but it's not the main point of the conversation. It's not something that I revel in by any means. And I think if he does fall down draft boards, that conversation is just going to get louder and louder and louder, and people are going to lose track of the fact that this dude has some legit talent. I hope for his sake that he doesn't waste it. Hopefully he ends up in a great spot where he can utilize his skill set to the best possible results. But beyond that, hopefully the person realizes, the human being, Walter Nolan, realizes the incredible opportunity in front of him and shapes up, gets whatever is going on with him out of his life, and just focuses on his profession, his job. And that's football, and that's really cool. There's a lot of people that would kill for football to be their job. All right, guys, that's all I got. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe. Let me know what you think about Walter Nolan. Let me know what you think about where he could end up in the draft. If he's already been drafted, he's on your team, let me know how excited you are, what you think about this pick. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Peace.